I am speaking with,
Michael Salamon from EffectiveUI.
and
RJ Owen from EffectiveUI.
and I wanted to say that you guys gave a phenomenal presentation about design, specifically designers and developers working together. And I want to know, what are three of the most common mistakes you see being made in that interaction between designers and developers?
Yeah, I think right now probably the biggest one is that they need to talk to each other more often. This idea that design is hucked over the fence or over the wall to developers is bad. They need to be part and parcel from the inception of the project. You need to have a developer on your team, and he or she needs to be aware of all of the design frameworks that you're playing around with. So that's a big one.
So at the very, very beginning, make sure they're involved.
Yes, definitely.
All right, now what's another common mistake you see being made?
So Michael mentioned getting a developer involved more early in the design process. I think that's totally true. But I think developers also need to feel more comfortable in speaking about design with their designer and being able to challenge a design or make suggestions or just be a part of the whole process. Because as developers, when you've worked in the field for any amount of time, you've got really well-refined opinions on what works and what doesn't work and what's natural to a user, and maybe just lack a little bit of the vocabulary to talk about it. Your designer's certainly the expert, but you're totally an equal partner in the endeavor.
Is there any time where there's a situation where someone's going, you're a developer, you're not a designer, you don't know?
Oh yeah, there's got to be. I mean, it works both ways, right? And those aren't good designers.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly happens, but I think good designers want to be challenged, and they want to work with someone who cares about the thing that they're building. And if as a developer you're just saying, oh, whatever, I'll just implement it this way because that's what my designer told me to do, you're probably a boring person to work with.
Yeah, designers should have a healthy ego, but it shouldn't impede the ultimate goal of making something better for everyone. It's not a designer's project. It's, the organization's project.
Or it's the user's project.
Or it's the user's project, yeah. So self-referential design is really a bad word, and I would call those people out on that.
All right. I don't know if we've hit a third one there, but let me ask you, is there a third way you think designers and developers are making monstrous mistakes?
I think this depends wildly on the organization or across what you're doing. But I think designers not knowing a little bit about how to develop is also another big mistake. That you don't have to be an expert coder, but as a designer, you should know your medium.
Yep, I'll in concert with that. Designers need to know what they're designing is feasible, is practical, and how expensive from time, money, energy they're actually offering. So have some respect for the people that are implementing your design, and understand what they're up against.
Give me a quick example of that. So what would I as a designer need to know about development to sort of better understand what's going on?
Well, I think you'd need to understand maybe the frameworks by which the developers are working within, and the constraints by which those frameworks impede maybe what your designs could be. Good designers come to terms with constraints very rapidly and actually embrace them. Otherwise, you're just designing everything for everyone. It doesn't end. We get into art, right? It's not designed for a purpose. It's to be beautiful or something like that.
Which is an okay purpose, but not always the most useful for a user.
Let me actually close with this one question with regards to, there are some design and usability principles, but you're allowed to break them. Give me a good example of how you're allowed to break them and how far you can break them.
Sure. So one example that we bring up in the talk is some of the applications that Twitter has done. Twitter really invented, or was it? No, Facebook invented that slide to the left to reveal the menu metaphor.
I don't know if they invented it, but they're definitely the ones that the bulk of your users are going to hit, right? They're going to know, oh, that's the hidden Facebook menu. And we're talking about on the iOS, the mobile kind of navigation element that slides
the app
off
over and the menus behind it. And so that's a case where they totally broke with convention, changed with what was consistent for people, but it was a really good design metaphor, and now it's all over the place. It's really changed things for people. So they created a really elegant, simple way to hide a menu by doing that.